And it does look a little bit like estradiol, and in fact, it will actually attach to the estrogen receptor. And so that caused people to think, wow, if a man consumes soy products like tofu or something, maybe he'll get man boobs, or maybe he'll become infertile or something like that. He's getting estrogens. Well, except you can prove this to yourself as to whether it's true or not. Go to the beach on an August day and pick out a chunky guy who's taken off his shirt and he's got a little bit of breast augmentation. Go up and ask him, how much tofu have you been eating this past week? Edamame? Miso? No, you don't know. What he'll say to you is, what are you talking about? I don't eat any of that stuff. I'm a cheeseburger guy. That's what I eat. As he has gained weight, this is a fat cell. Fat cells are not just bags of innocuous calories. Fat cells are factories that make estrogens. So it takes testosterone, it takes Hank's testosterone and turns it into estradiol. Fat cells turn male hormones into female hormones. As he gained weight, his body fat is making estrogens that are causing the breast augmentation in him. It had nothing to do with soy. Nothing at all. Okay, now what is of more concern is breast cancer. There are many women who are concerned, if I have soy, could that have estrogenic effects and cause breast cancer? Or if I've had cancer already, could that cause me to die of my cancer? Well, we've had plenty of time to study this, and it turns out that women who consume the most soy have the least breast cancer. Women consuming the most soy, I'm talking about soy milk or soy yogurt or edamame, they have about a 29% reduction in their risk of breast cancer. And women who were previously diagnosed with cancer, who consume the most soy, are the least likely to die of it. So the point is, soy products do not cause cancer, they reduce the risk of cancer. So wait a minute. Soy has isoflavones like genistein. They can attach to the estrogen receptor in your body. Why are they good for you? In your car, you've got a pedal. It's called the gas pedal. You step on the gas pedal and what happens? Your car goes, right? Right next to it is another pedal, which is called the brake. Soy attaches to the brake. You have alpha receptors for estrogen in your body. You've got beta receptors in your body as well. Soy is the brake. It reduces the likelihood of getting breast cancer and reduces the likelihood of dying of it. Totally optional, but it's a good thing. You with me?
Yep.
Okay, good. Oh, one more hormone. I want to talk to you about this. Insulin. Insulin is important with regard to diabetes, and the National Institutes of Health funded my research team to do a test to see if we could find a better diet for type 2 diabetes. The conventional diet says cut calories, don't eat too much carbohydrate, but our plant-based diet was vegan, no animal products, and we kept oils very, very low. And this will not be on the test, but I want to show you what we found. We use a test called A1C, hemoglobin A1C. That's our test for blood sugar control, and it dropped pretty well on the conventional diet, that's in red, but the vegan diet is in blue. It dropped 3 times more on a completely vegan diet. And the results were published by the American Diabetes Association back in 2006. Let me put a face on this. This is Vance. Vance was a policeman in Washington. Vance had diabetes all up and down his family tree, but he went on the vegan diet. He lost 60 pounds. He stopped his diabetes medications. His A1C was 9.5 to start, which is out of control, and it dropped to 5.3, which is totally and completely normal. I want to tell you something. When I first got his lab slip, I wasn't sure if I could tell him that he no longer has diabetes, because this was back 16, 17 years ago, when we didn't know what we know today, which is that we can reverse this disease in many, many, many people. At that time, it was totally controversial. But this is what happened to Vance, and it's happened to many people. By the way, when I was asking his permission to share his experience with you, he said, tell everybody that my erectile dysfunction went away too. Okay. Now, I want to show you the cause of type 2 diabetes. Please pay attention to this if you would. And if you're a physician, pay extra attention. And if you have a physician, you can charge your doctor for telling him or her about what I'm going to tell you. Insulin is made in your pancreas. That's an organ right behind your belly button. And it goes into the bloodstream and it goes to the cells of your body. And this is a cell. That big blue thing is one of your body's cells. And insulin is like a key. And its job is to take that glucose and get it to go through those funny little purple doors. So the insulin key goes from your pancreas to the cells, and it attaches to the surface, and it opens up the little locks, and then it lets the glucose come inside. And there it is, coming right in. Okay? So that's normal. When a person has type 2 diabetes, they've got insulin, and it's attaching normally, but somehow it's not working. And the reason their insulin is not working has nothing to do with drinking Dr. Pepper or eating bread. It's all about fatty foods. You see those yellow globs? That's beef fat, chicken fat, fryer grease, olive oil, extra virgin olive oil, extra virgin olive oil. The fat is building up inside their cell, and the fat inside the cell stops insulin from working. Now, doctors hate words like fat. It's only got 3 letters. So we'll call it intramyocellular lipid, and now that's something I can bill for. So why does a low-fat vegan diet help somebody like Vance get rid of diabetes? Because how much animal fat is in a vegan diet? There isn't any. And if I keep oils really low, the fat in that cell diminishes, it goes away. And the reason we know this is true is you can see it on MR, there's a technique called MR spectroscopy. Where you can actually look into the muscle and liver cells and you can see the fat going away. And that's what we've done with our diet, okay? So, all of these things are potentially reversible. So does this matter? Does any of this really matter? Well, let me share with you a story. This is a doctor. His name is Anthony Sadalero. And I want to share his story with you. He was a very good doctor. He was the president of Methodist Hospital in Philadelphia. And he was in his mid-40s, he was running the hospital, they were very busy, and he had an annual chest x-ray as part of his employee physical exam. And he went down to radiology, did his chest x-ray, went back up to his office, and his phone rang. It was his radiologist who said, "Tony, come back here, I don't like your x-ray." Tony thought, "Oh, I must have moved, maybe I coughed, we'll do the x-ray again." He went back downstairs, and the x-ray was up on the screen, and it was crystal clear. And he looked at it, and he saw these little round densities all around in his lung area. I thought, what is that? Any doctor who sees these little brown spots thinks this looks like cancer. He had a bone scan the very same day. He had metastatic cancer to his ribs, to his sternum, and to his skull. And fairly soon they found the primary, which was prostate. Now, a lot of men get prostate cancer. If they're 80 years old, it's a very slow-growing cancer. Doctors often don't even operate on them. They just leave it alone. If you've got advanced metastatic cancer at age 45, this is an aggressive cancer, and this is a death sentence. And so his doctor said, "Tony, I'm not going to lie to you. We got nothing. Get your affairs in order." And to make all this worse, Tony's own father died right after this of lung cancer. So he drove up to New Jersey and he buried his father. And he tried to console his mother as best he could. And then he got back on the New Jersey Turnpike and he decided, I'm just going to be the best damn doctor that I could ever be, and I'm going to turn that hospital over to somebody else. And on the New Jersey Turnpike, he happened to see a couple of kids, teenagers, hitchhiking. And he thought, okay, somebody to talk to. They got in the car. And as fate would have it, they had just gotten out of macrobiotic cooking school. And if you're not familiar with macrobiotics, it's sort of Chinese medicine distilled through Japanese cuisine, lots of rice, lots of vegetables, no dairy at all. They're very down on meat and all that stuff. And so he says, here's my situation, I'm dying of cancer. And they weren't the slightest bit moved. They said, do you like miso soup, Doc? How about some brown rice? And they were telling him that he could attack his cancer with food. These were just the most annoying kids he had ever met. They didn't realize that here he is, he's a doctor, he doesn't need a lot of yang yin mumbo jumbo stuff to make him feel better about his imminent demise. But before they got out of the car, they pried loose his address and they sent him a book a few days later, 67 cents postage due. And it talked all about this diet. And he started reading, and he thought, this is just ridiculous. But the more he read, the more he thought, okay, my choices are, hell, I'll give it a try. And so he went to the macrobiotic center, and they taught him how to cook things, and he went home that night and he exploded his pressure cooker, and he was really all thumbs with it. But he did it. He would eat these healthy foods, and he would go into the doctor's dining room with his brown rice and his chopsticks, and the other doctors looked at this poor slob, humor Tony, he's in a bad way. But Tony didn't die. 2 months went by, and 3 months, and 4 months, and 6 months, and Tony was actually looking pretty good. And his pains went away, and at a year, he felt completely fine. And he was supposed to have been dead at about 3 months. He went back to radiology, and they repeated his bone scans. And the cancer was no longer detectable. And if this had been somebody other than the president of Methodist Hospital in Philadelphia, you might say, well, I don't know. But in his case, he said, wait, guys, we have to study this. And he wrote a book called Recalled by Life. And he went on all the talk shows saying, I don't know exactly what's happening here, but we have to understand what is happening in the human body in response to changing nutrition that might actually help people with cancer. So I got to know Tony. And about 10 years after all of this, I met him, and we were sitting down looking at his scans, and it really is true. It's the most amazing cure. But Tony then told me something that was kind of frightening. He said, Neal, I want to tell you something. I'm testing myself. I'm changing my diet. He brought chicken back into his diet, and he started bringing other foods back into his diet little by little by little. And I thought, why rock the boat? If you're healthy now, just leave it alone.